I actually write jokes backwards. I will write a punchline with no particular setup in mind. I just put it on a scrap of paper, and I'll throw that scrap of paper in my fishbowl. I have a fishbowl in my house filled with random punchlines.
Now, that's interesting. I always wonder what people's methods are to do to create what they create. I have my certain methods to writing songs and stuff, so I always wonder how that works. Let's jump on this one, man. We got hot topics and we got funny people. This is Krizz Out Loud. Come on. All right, Krizz Out Loud, man, and I got Dave Chappelle on the show today from Netflix as a joke. Pulls off an impossible punchline, and he talks about writing his punchlines. I'm going to start this one over.
Let's get to it. I actually write jokes backwards.
All right.
I will write a punchline with no particular setup in mind. I just put it on a scrap of paper, and I'll throw that scrap of paper in my fishbowl. I have a fishbowl in my house filled with random punchlines. And every once in a while, I'll shake the bowl, and I'll dig in there and just pull one out and see if I can make that shit work.
That's interesting. Got to challenge yourself.
One for this special. It's not an easy punchline to pull off. Are you ready?
Go.
Here it goes.
That's exciting. That's going to excite the crowd to even do that. That's really, really dope.
Punchline is, so I kicked her in the pussy.
All right.
I haven't finished the joke yet. I just know whatever happens in the beginning of the joke, at the end of the joke, for some reason, I'm gonna kick somebody in the pussy.
Okay.
And it's going to be hilarious.
Okay.
When I was growing up, I was probably about 8 years old, and at the time, we were living in Silver Spring. My parents did just well enough so that I could grow up poor around white people.
All right.
And to be honest, when Nas and them talk about the projects, nigga, I used to get jealous because it sounded fun. Everybody in the projects was poor, and that's fair.
Right.
But if you were poor in Silver Spring, nigga, it felt like it was only happening to you.
Right. I can see that. I performed in Silver Springs, Maryland is where that's at. And it's a richer area, so I get it.
Nas does not know the pain of that first sleepover at a white friend's house.
Well, so I can concur with this. I identify with this. We grew up the same way. My father moved us. We weren't necessarily poor, but my father moved us out of the hood and into the suburbs. And same thing. So when I got over there to my white friends' houses, they had stuff that I hadn't seen before, and treats and all kind of toys that I had never played with before that I had only dreamed of.
Come back home on Sunday and just look at your parents like, y'all need to step your game up.
Yep.
Everything at Timmy's house works. Timmy was one of my first white friends, like, in my life, man. And one day I was at his house, we were just hanging out, and Timmy says, Dave, why don't you stay for dinner tonight? I said, oh, man, I'd love to, but I can't. If I'm not home before dark, my mother will kill me. That was a lie. My mother had several jobs. I hadn't seen her in like 3 or 4 days.
Trying to live in Silver Spring.
And the only reason I lied to Timmy was because at that point in my life, it was my experience that white dinner wasn't delicious. I'd rather go home and fry some bologna or some shit like that.
Yeah. Right.
But then old Timmy threw me a curveball I wasn't expecting. He said, well, it's too bad you can't stay, Dave, because Mom made stovetop stuffing. I said, what the fuck, stovetop?
I only saw that on TV probably.
Well, hold on, nigga. Let me make some phone calls real quick.
Right.
I had seen that commercial so many times, I had dreamt of getting my hands on some of that stovetop stuffing.
I'm saying, that's where you saw it, on commercials. Like, I'm trying to think, I think I was a little older before we got stovetop, but yeah, if you grew up in the 80s, I'm a Gen Xer like him. So we grew up in the same era. Stovetop stuffing was a big deal. I get it.
And finally, I met a motherfucker that actually had a box of stovetop in the house. I couldn't miss this opportunity, so I pretended to call my mother. And then I came back and I said, Timmy, you're not gonna believe this great news. Mom said I can stay. And he said, fantastic. He said, why don't you come with me and we'll help set the table and then we can say the blessing. I had no interest in setting this motherfucker's table or saying these crazy ass Mormon prayers. I just wanted that goddamn stuffing. So I told Timmy, I said, you know what, I'd love to help, but let me go wash my hands first. My plan was simple. Wash my hands slowly, and by the time I'm done, the table will be set, the blessing will be said, and all that there will be left to do is eat.
Right.
Went to the bathroom. I washed my hands very slowly. I must have been in there for about 10 minutes. And suddenly, one of his mothers came to the door.
One of his mothers. All right, this was a different experience that he had never had, especially if you're talking about in the 80s. This was a very, very different experience for, this is going to be a very different experience for, especially for black folks in that time, you know what I mean?
She was like, hi, David, right? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, Timmy tells me that you're planning on staying for dinner. I said, I hope that's not a problem, ma'am. She says, no, it's no problem. In fact, we'd love to have you. It's just that we weren't expecting company. And I'm afraid there's not enough stovetop stuffing for everybody.
That's a heartbreaker. So I kicked her in the...
pussy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, dude. It was kind of a stretch to get to that. I ain't gonna lie. It was kind of a stretch to get to the why he would kick this woman. I believe that actually happened. I don't think he actually kicked her in her private parts, but I believe that actually happened to him, man. Dave Chappelle, definitely one of the great comics. My three on my Mount Rushmore of comedy: Dave Chappelle. There's Dave Chappelle. There's George Carlin. Bill Burr. These are my three favorite comedians. So you guys got to tell me in the comments, who is your Mount Rushmore of comedy? And I'm talking about, so Mount Rushmore normally has, how many presidents are on there? 1, 2, 3, 4? 4. My Mount Rushmore only has 3 people on it. So your Mount Rushmore on this channel only gets 3 people on it, y'all. You tell me in the comments, who are your top 3 comedians ever? Let's see if we agree that it's the same ones. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to one of the fastest growing channels right here on, I almost said on Dave Chappelle on YouTube. Krizz Out Loud, Cali, baby. See you, bye.